Doing something a little different this time. I'm gonna take you back to the beginning of the Nissan pickup truck rust repair, and we're gonna do the whole thing in one shot. So this is 2 old clips and new clips. So I think if you've seen part 1 and 2, you could skip till about the halfway point and we'll get you caught up from there. Hope you enjoy. Winter sure blew in here in a hurry. It was like 18 degrees this morning. I think it was 60 yesterday. Well, I got this old Nissan truck and it's very rusty. It belongs to a guy who's in his 90s. And he just wants to make it a little prettier because it's very rotten. He likes to drive it around and he wants it to just be presentable. So we're gonna do like a little lick and stick fix up on this, patch up some of the rust, you know, get it ready for probably just a paint freshen up. Nothing crazy. You know, you don't want to dump a whole bunch of money into it, but these Japanese trucks rotted out pretty bad. This one's no exception. It is extremely rusty. So we'll go ahead and get this battery swapped out because it is very dead. Get it fired up and get it up in the shop, get it cleaned up. And this is just like an afternoon thing, you know, this is not a big project or something that I can dump a bunch of time into. It's just something quick, make this thing a little nicer. A lot of evidence of mices in this thing, so something that needs to be looked at, I think. Get this battery swapped out and see if she'll start, take her up the hill. Don't want to lose that. I'll throw this on the charger. Plop in the old Roll King. This battery has started probably every car in the shop at least once. It gets around. There we go. All right, let's snug this up. And we'll give her a test fire, see what happens. You ready? Dang it. this is, how bad the rust is, which is typical for these trucks. Pretty much any repair I do to this thing is going to be, you know, temporary. Again, the guy who owns it is in his 90s, and he just wanted to make it, you know, a little more presentable. He's had the truck, I guess, since it was brand new, and he just wants to pay it a little respect, which I understand. So he doesn't want to go crazy, just make it pretty. This is some thin metal on these old girls. I think what I'm going to do is just take the grinder, grind this out, see where I'm at, and probably just make 2 strips separately, you know, that have a right angle in them. Weld those together and then make that as one piece and weld it in. And then I'm not going to bite off more than I can chew. I'm going to focus on one thing at a time. Otherwise, I'll go around this whole thing and just drive myself crazy. So this is the first one I'm going to tackle. So I'm going to try to get this cleaned up, see what it looks like. All right, I've got some rust. You could see I hit it with some of this rust prep. I got a little bit left. I don't know that it actually works or that I trust it, but I made up this piece out of 2 metal pieces, folded over, welded together. This is like 20 gauge metal. It's kind of thin, but it's no thinner than the truck is made out of. And it's gonna go right about there. I'm gonna trim some of it back to make it fit better, but I think I'm just gonna overlap it a little bit or maybe slide it under. I just don't want to try to butt weld to this truck, but it's so rusty underneath and up behind. It's just one of those things, you know, the guy wants it to look nice, and it'll look nice and it'll be nice. I don't know. I don't think I can justify spending a ton of time on this truck for this guy. We'd both be losing out. It's just one of those things, you know, and you say it to yourself a lot. Do it right or don't do it at all. But is that really the way to go? I don't know. If a repair is good and strong, this would last years and years and years. But it's not the 100% correct way to do it. But then again, the 100% correct way to do it would be to take the bed off and sandblast it and, you know, drill out the spot welds and fix it that way. So, internal struggle. We'll see what I end up doing. I'm just trying to be open and honest about this truck, you know. I have decided that I'm going to tack weld it on and then sleep on it. I'm going to tack weld this patch panel on and then start jumping to other ones and get them tacked in. Maybe talk to the guy and see how he feels about it. That's going to be the best bet for now. But this is, you know, keep moving forward, see how I feel about it, see how it looks. Try to keep going. because my ground wasn't very good. Try it over here. There we go. All right. That'll be okay for now, I think. You see it blew right through that, so I don't know. Maybe I'll have to remake at least this much of it. This I ground out a lot. I got that down to pretty good metal. But maybe I'll just have to make this corner. I'll think on it. This side you could see is much worse than the other side. Front and rear of the bed. And that. So yeah, I think I can overlap some patch panels on this truck because it's a bit much. I think it'll be okay. Look at this green stink bug. He's so fresh. Anyway, look at this. Yikes. So the bottom part of this bed has a roll in it. I don't know if you could see it. But yeah, just like that. Just like that. It goes all the way down. So I whipped up this piece. It's not perfect because it's probably not the right shape 100%, but it'll still be really close. The way I did it, sneak over here, is I had this piece of exhaust tubing and this piece of square tubing, and I welded it with a spacer between it. And I slid this piece of right-angled metal up, and then I just kind of hammered it over. And I think that's going to give me a good enough shape for this patch panel. All right, so I got some of this cut out. I got to cut out the top, but here's the piece that I'm making up. It's got a little bit of a roll to it. You could see it kind of mimics that right there. I don't think it's going to be too bad, but again, I got to cut some more of it out. I made it too long, that way I'd have enough to cut back. So I'm going to cut this out and try to get this kind of fit in. All right, I got that one test fit with a couple screws. I don't think it's going to be too bad. This isn't perfect, but it's acceptable. I'm going to grind that up tomorrow and tack it in place as well. And keep moving, keep tacking, and then see what I want to do. Because I have a bad suspicion about this one right here, that it's been done before. Because there's some filler in it. We'll see. What I ended up deciding on was cutting and butt welding the edges, and then I flanged all along the top so that this would just lay over that flange, and I'd have something to weld to that would kind of overlap it. I still got to make this corner down here, and then I'll make this piece up here separately as well. But that's how I'm going to solve this issue, because again, this thing's so thin, that flange will help me keep it kind of stronger and less chance of warpage, less chance of blowing through. I think that's going to be the way to go. Pretty simple. It'll be quick, and it should last for a long time. And then I can get up behind it and coat it and cavity wax it and all that. So far it's going pretty good. The bottoms look a little ugly, but it'll all grind out just fine. It is not the picture of perfection, but I'm pretty happy with that. And now I'll go ahead and make these pieces and these and grind all that out and keep on rocking. Hopefully I can get the entire bed patched by the end of the day. Yeah, you can see it's been overlapped before and mudded up, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut all this stuff out, make new patches. All right, I got the rust cut out of these areas, and you can see there's still enough left to spot weld to. I might put a piece in there, but probably not. Maybe I will. I don't know. Anyway, I traced the pieces that I cut out on a piece of sheet metal. Now I'll cut those out and I'll get those fit and we'll see how it looks. All right, here is the patch that I made and cut out, and I punched 2 holes in it for spot welds so I could spot weld it to the inner brace like it was factory. I'm gonna go ahead and get this zapped in with some tacks, and then go ahead and do this one, and I gotta make that one and cut all that out. Got that one roughed in and that one roughed in. I think that's a pinhole. I gotta weld that up. Still just gotta make these pieces and this piece and still this piece. I've been putting it off. It's getting closer. I whipped this patch panel up real quick after cutting all that out, and I'm just gonna let it overlap just the tiniest little bit up through here and down there right above the crease. And I think that's how I'm just gonna install it. Based on everything else I've recently discovered in this truck, I think this will be good. Also, I just want to note that I'm overlapping this because there's a peak right there that I can weld just under that peak, and when I put some body filler on it, it'll just be enough to cover that tiny little bit, and it's gonna be fine. I think I'm done fooling with this for the night. I gotta make that patch yet and those yet, but I think that's good progress. I don't know when I'll get back on this one, so I think I'm just gonna call it for a video as well. And we will get back to this truck if there's any interest in it. All right, I cut a couple free hours this afternoon. I'm gonna go ahead and try to get this Nissan knocked out. The next big thing on the rust is this door. I might go ahead and pull the door off, put it on a stand and fix it off the truck. So let me see about that. I'm gonna think about it, and then I'll get back to you, and either I'll be cutting it out or it'll be on a stand. So, and if you haven't seen this video for the first part of this truck, I will link it in the description. Let's get rolling. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the door off. I had to dig through my bucket of tools and find a 12 millimeter because I don't carry a lot of measured stuff. So probably should go ahead and pull the door panel and everything first. Yeah, that's a good idea. And I'm gonna put this battery on life support because it has a slow draw and it was slow cranking. So I'm gonna go ahead and hook up the battery charger. If only this thing had wheels on it, I wouldn't have to carry it around, right? A little dirty. There we go. Sounds rough. All right, first thing I'm gonna do is try to pull this door handle off. Well, window crank, not a door handle. I assume it's the same kind of clip. Oh. Okay, so typically on old cars, I find that the clip comes in from the back side, so you go up against the door handle and the clip pops out. This is the opposite, actually. The clip is out, but the door handle's fighting. There we go. Perfect. See? Oh, sorry. All right. Everything else should be a flat or Phillips head screw. Not a big deal. Remember to take the lock knob off. A lot of times people forget to take the lock knob off. The scary thing about pulling the door panel off is you don't want to bust the clips that hold it to the car, or vehicle rather, truck in this case. Because once you bust those clips, this gets all wavy. It doesn't want to press back on. It just becomes an ugly nightmare. You don't want people to know that you were ever inside the door. You don't want it to look obvious that stuff has been taken apart. If anything, you kind of want things to be a little better, you know. If you want to wipe down the door panels and things like that. But you definitely don't want to leave evidence that you were in here. I don't want to burn up the door panel and the rubbers and all that stuff while I'm fixing the door. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull it off. Typically, if it's something quick that I'm going to put back together, I will leave the hardware and everything on this side of the floor, on the floor mat, in a cup if it's small stuff. But if it's something long-term, you're going to want to put it in a bag or a jar because you do not want to lose anything. You don't want to be chasing around, you know, coarse head screws. Obviously, you can get this stuff, but why bother if you already have it? You see how nice and tight that fits against the door. If you go pulling, you're gonna break all of those clips. So I'm gonna have to find a tool and try to pop those clips up without destroying anything, which I know I have it. Whether or not it's gonna work great is a different story. I've got this pry tool that should work. They have nicer ones, collision shops. They're like pliers that open, but this is what I have. I don't do a lot of this kind of stuff, so I'm not shocked that I don't have the proper tools. Let's go ahead and move a little bit here. I'm gonna try to find the clips. Sorry if my head's in the way for a minute. Okay. These are a decent clip. They're coming out nice, but still I want to be careful. One more. Beautiful. I think we got them all. Oh, maybe one right here in this corner. All the clips are out. We're hanging up on this door handle. There we go. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. So, if you could see this, actually this is in really good shape, but see these clips? They slide into this slot, right? The head fits in the bigger hole and then it slides to the smaller hole to hold it. So when you're prying them out, you want your pry tool to be on that clip to spread the load onto the clip only. You don't want it to be on the cardboard because this clip will rip through that cardboard and you'll have to either get a bigger clip to replace it or somehow try to repair the cardboard. You don't want to make that hole any bigger. You don't want it to be this size because then it'll just fall off. So you always want your pressure from your tool on or around the clip and not the cardboard. Whew. All right, hopefully that made sense. I explained that well. I'm gonna guess that this door probably weighs almost nothing compared to what I'm used to. Yeah, wow, that's crazy. Grab a body stand, I probably should have done that. Perfect. Give you a little spin here. There we go. There we go. Lithium grease. Ugh. So this is what we're solving here. It's pretty, yeah, it's pretty well rotted. So I got to remake this inner and outer corner, the skin, and then down through here is pretty bad as well. I'm going to go ahead and just cut this off. And then right here too. But the important thing is, anytime you're grinding, cutting, or welding around glass or stainless or even chrome, you're gonna want to cover it because the slag from the grinding and the welding can physically burn into the glass and leave dimples in your glass. Those dimples will rust because of the metal that's still stuck in the glass, and it just looks terrible. You can't clean it. It's there forever. It glares in the sunlight really bad. So just avoid it, cover your glass. I like to, a lot of times I'll use aluminum foil, doubled over, blue tape on the glass, aluminum foil doubled over, and then blue tape again, and then duct tape over the blue tape is how I do it a lot. Or you can buy deflection paper, but it's very expensive. So let's get started and get some of this cut up. Mark this off as level as I can. It just makes it easier for making patch panels when things are straight. Two and a half. 2.5 ought to do it. These are just general lines, they don't have to be perfection. Out here in this storage trailer, I've got this quarter panel for a Galaxy that's really thin sheet metal, and that's what I'm going to use to continue to make patch panels for the truck. So I'm going to drag this inside. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and mark this out. I went like 2.5 inches here. Yeah, so I'll go 3 up on here and make sure I have plenty to chop off. Yeah. right, let me trim this out. Be right back. So I whipped up this little piece. I'm going to clean it up and cut this rust out, and then that's going to go right there. I'm going to weld that over that edge. I'm going to keep it simple, and I'm just going to, I cut out the rust, like the rot through along the bottom lip. I'm going to take some acid and I'm going to hit the surface rust that remains, let it set up, hit it with just some black spray paint. Then I'm going to hammer this patch panel I made up over this, weld it along the top. I'll probably underlap it a little bit because, again, this metal's so thin, I don't want to try to butt weld anything, and it's just not worth it for what the guy wants. Underlap it a little bit, and then flip it over, and I'll urethane the back edge. Has some seam sealer, and paint that black as well, and then rehang the door and get some body work done. I think this is going to be the best course of action for this truck, considering what we're doing. We're just fixing up an old truck as a driver, cutting the rust out. It'll last, you know, forever, at least another, you know, decade. So I think that's going to be the best course of action. Otherwise, I'd be making inner and outer stuff and chewing up a bunch of time and effort and money that he doesn't want to spend on this truck. This is the last little bit of this acid I have, so I really think that this is going to be fine, though, for this truck. I just don't want to have to make an inner and outer lip and all kinds of other crazy stuff. Here we go. Let that dry up. I changed my mind again. I'm gonna go ahead and flange this edge. I trimmed this back so I can just overlap it on the flanged edge. It'll be strong, it'll be nice. We won't have a mystery seam up underneath the back side of the door that we can't really get to, that stuff can slide down into. I think this is just gonna be the best way. It'll give us an element of strength. I think this is the way to go. And then I'll just butt weld these edges. That should work. Try to fit this. My hammer. Let me try this out. I'm taking this piece of brake line up through a drain hole in the back. Well, actually, it's a clip hole in the back of the door, so I can push from the bottom, push that skin up flush, and then I'll tack it. If I hook my ground up through the metal, it works so much better. I'm gonna have to do a compilation of me doing that in my videos because I do it a lot. All right. Back up through the clip hole. Push the skins together. A little left-handed there. I got it though. There we go. It's tough to weld with my thumb in left hand, but we're making it work. Sorry you missed some of that there. There we go. I'm gonna take a hammer and dolly and tap that edge a little, close it up a little bit. I gotta make that little piece and finish welding up this overlap piece. I cut and butt the ends here and the end here so there'd be no high spot. But other than that, I just got to keep welding. So I'll get that done, get it ground down, and I'll come back. All right, well, it's not completely perfect, but it's not bad. It's got a little bit of that overlap. That's where the flange is, and then it's welded over top. So I'll just fill that in with Duraglass, but that patch is done. Now I'm gonna do that patch real quick, flip it over, got some stuff to do underneath, and then I'll flip it back over and do some body work. I'm gonna trim this off level, and I guess I'm gonna have to do something in here, and then come over here and cut that, fix that little overhang, and weld that together, and then seam seal up through there. I cut this sheet metal out where the hinge bolts, made a quick template, cut this out, drill it out, and then I'll fill all this in, weld all this in, grind it. It's a little crunchy, and then I'll weld this little edge up here, and then I'll weld a piece on that edge. I will have a little bit of a gap over here to fill and a little piece here to make, but then I'll cut and butt this front edge and it should be fine. That's starting to look okay. I got this little corner welded up, and now I gotta go ahead and tackle this, and then I'll seam seal the back and flip it back over and finish out the front. All right, welded that up, ground it down, hit it with a little urethane, let that dry. and then I'll hit it with a little primer, paint, something. All right, got her flipped over. I'm gonna go ahead and put some Duraglass in that seam and hang the door back on the truck and wrap up this video. All right, let's get some filler. A little bit of fiberglass filler spread on this. I probably mixed up way too much, but that's okay. I'm just going to hit the body filler with some self-etching primer for now because I don't have time to mix any 2K and let it dry. I want to get the door back on the truck and get the truck out of here, get the shop cleaned back up so I can get on to other things. It'll protect it a little bit. It's undercover, but still. I've got this sand gloss that I think will be fine for the door jamb, so I'm going to hit it with a little bit of that. And then let it dry and hang this door, get the shop cleaned up and move on. That'll be pretty close. I really think that that is acceptable for what we're doing here. I think for how bad the bottom of this door was, that's pretty good. The outside of the truck will get proper paint, but stuff like this, it's not a big deal. All right, I think I'm ready to get this door back on here. By myself is not going to be the easiest task, but that is much better. I tried to push this dent out, but it was actually creased really bad underneath the trim. So I'm just gonna pull it out with the dent puller. This metal's so thin. I need to get in that crease. I can't. Oh, okay. That's about as smooth as I'm gonna get it. Now I'm gonna hit it with a little bit of this Duraglass. Try to glob it on so I don't have to do it twice. With these fender bottoms, I'm just cutting them off. They're only single layered anyway. I'll take a piece of 18 gauge that's a little stronger and just make a piece, bolt it in, call it done. Just like that. I'll clean this up so I can weld it. I gotta make a little piece for right here and then fix my silly door gap here later, but I'll get all this done first on the body and then I'll pull the door back off and fix that later. No big deal. I went ahead and painted that and painted the back side of this. It'll all burn out, but it's better than nothing, you know. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and cut out the weird spots on this side now. Oops. It's just what I do. There we go. This side's done. Now I gotta make the pieces for the other side. I'm all right with that. Everything's so thin around here. I think I'm just gonna make a patch panel that comes up and just barely sits underneath the edge of that. And then I'll seam seal it up really good and hit it with some black from behind. I don't wanna try to butt weld to this and blow it apart more. I'm already poking holes with screwdrivers through it, so. Anything that looks like it's gonna be a hole, I'll dig it out and fix it, but I don't wanna cause a bunch more work. All right, here's my first patch panel. It'll go up there let's try this again. Here's my patch panel. That's all the overlap I'll have. And it'll go right up in there like that. Let's try that one more time. Here's my patch panel. It'll go in here just like this and be welded in from behind. I'll seam seal it and hit it with some black from behind. But I think this is gonna be my best bet for not blowing this whole fender apart. Almost done. I don't know if I can get that in there, but I urethaned it. I got everything welded in. They're not beautiful, but they will work. I got ahead of myself and ground some of that down without filming it, so sorry about that. I got to grind all that stuff I did last time. Grind all that. I made this little corner down here because I hadn't done that yet, so I got to grind that. Let me get around to the other side here. I got those two little pieces done. They need ground down, and that little corner done. Got to grind all this down, and then we can start body work. So this is it, I think, for metal work. I think I'm done. So on to body work. I've got the sheet metal work all ground down. I'm going to wire brush out the cracks just to make sure they're clean, and I'm going to hit it with some Duraglass. I've got the Duraglass all ground down and sanded the bed down with some 80 grit, so regular body filler will have a tooth to grab onto. So now I'm going to go ahead and fill this with some body filler. I've got a skim of filler on this. I'm just going through it really quick. There's other channels that show how to do body work. I started this project forever ago, so I'm just trying to wrap it up with the help of the iPhone and just you know, knock it out real quick. It's a little sloppy, but I'm going to go ahead and hit the stuff with some primer. This is going to be some high build primer, so I'm not too concerned with my tape job right now because I'm only going to try to cover the body filler and nothing else. I've got the filler primer blocked out, and I've got a couple spots filled. Now I'm going to hit it with some sealer primer, let it dry, and then I'll hit it with some 320 and paint it. I'm just going to do a couple spots on the truck. I'm definitely not going to do the whole truck. It's not going to be straight. I kept the repairs close to where I fixed, so it's going to be a little wavy, but I didn't want to get into full panel skimming, you know, the whole quarter and bedside and all that. It wouldn't be worth it for what we're doing here. So that's where we're at now. All right, I got it pressure washed so you can kind of see the body work. You know, I didn't take all the dents and stuff out. I just wanted to fix the rust up a bit. And after a couple coats of single stage, I think we got it looking pretty good. You can see the paint didn't match perfect, but for what it is, it's good. We got rid of all this old rust that was rotted through. It had a ton of body filler in it in some spots. So I think we put this truck on the road solid for another good, 10, 15 years. It's gonna do just fine, and it's not an eyesore anymore. So for what the guy wants to do, he just wants to put some antique plates on it and drive it around and appreciate it. I think it's gonna be just fine, and I am happy with it. The color on the bed's a little brighter, but I don't think that's a big deal. When you're just painting panels and not blending, then it's kind of hard to get a perfect match. So, but for what it is, it's perfect. I think it came out fine though. I hope you've enjoyed this amalgamation of old clips and the finished product of this truck. I'll see you guys in the next one.